My son sold my custom handmade furniture as mass-produced clearance stock items. Steel doesn't lie. Heated enough, and it always tells you exactly what's inside it. Trapped air, an impurity, a flaw folded in years before, invisible until the moment it's under enough pressure to crack open in the fire. I've been welding and fabricating custom furniture for 16 years, and I always figured people worked the same way. I was wrong about how long it can take the pressure to show. My name is Julian Rourke. I'm 39, and I run a small metalwork shop on the edge of Duluth, Minnesota, called Rourke Ironworks, where I build dining tables, benches, and fire pit sets out of steel frames and reclaimed barnwood. I became a father at 20, before I really knew what I was doing with a torch or with a kid. His mother and I split when he was 3, but I never missed a weekend. I married my wife Simone 12 years ago, when I was 27, and she's run the books and the front counter of this shop almost as long as I've run the forge. Before I get into it, tell me where you're watching this from, and what the weather looks like outside your window right now. My son Mason is 19 now. Community college 2 days a week, and the rest of the time he's in the shop with me, grinding welds, loading the kiln, handling our online storefront where we sell seconds and floor samples at a discount. I gave him that account because I trusted him with it completely. Before I get into it, drop where you're tuning in from today. I want to tell you about an afternoon back in January, because it matters later. I'd been fighting a stubborn weld on a fire pit base for almost 2 hours, cursing under my breath, sparks catching the cold air outside the open bay door, and Mason came in from his shift at the register, still in his coat, breath fogging, and just picked up a second torch without being asked. "You're overheating the joint," he said, which was true, and which was more instinct for the metal than I'd given him credit for having. We worked in silence for 20 minutes, the two of us hunched over the same seam, and when we finally got it clean and let it cool, he grinned at me the way he used to when he was 7 and I let him hold the grinder for the first time. He grabbed 2 sodas out of the mini fridge by the workbench and handed me one without asking if I wanted it, because he already knew. "Teach me TIG welding properly this summer," he said. "Not just the easy stuff, the aerospace grade stuff, the stuff that actually holds under real pressure. I bring that afternoon up because I need you to understand. My son didn't become someone else overnight. He's a kid who picked up a torch on his own time to help his old man finish a job, for no reason except that he wanted to." Here's what I didn't know that afternoon. Mason had gotten into online poker over the fall. Small buy-ins at first, and by January he owed close to $1,100 across 2 different platforms. Money he didn't have and couldn't ask us for without the whole thing coming out. He told his girlfriend, Delaney Marsh, a little of it, enough that she knew something was eating at him. Not enough that she knew what he'd already started doing about it. What he'd started doing was this. Our storefront account, the one he managed, also had listing access to a regional secondhand marketplace called Binwise, where we occasionally moved genuine floor samples and minor seconds at a discount. Starting in February, Mason began quietly adding finished custom commissions to those listings instead. The first was a welded steel and oak console table a woman named Adrienne Castillo had ordered for her front hallway, half paid, 3 weeks from delivery. He listed it as industrial console table, warehouse overstock, minor scuffing, priced at $400 against the $900 it was worth, and it sold within a day to a buyer 2 towns over. He told Adrienne we'd had a delay with the powder coating and pushed her pickup date twice. The second was a fire pit set built for a brewery patio downtown, no deposit involved since I'd already covered the materials myself. That sold in early March for $310, against the $700 we'd quoted. He told the brewery's manager our supplier had backordered the steel. The third was the one that ended it, though not the way you'd expect. In late March, Mason relisted a walnut and blackened steel dining bench I'd built for a regular customer, a retired school teacher named Grant Ashford, at $220, against the $600 it was actually worth. By then he'd cleared close to $900 of the debt, with only a couple hundred left. And I know exactly how confident he felt about it. Because Delaney told Simone the whole thing months later. He met her at a bar off London Road the week after the bench sold, bought her a drink he probably couldn't afford, and told her he was basically in the clear. $200 left, maybe less, he said, tapping his phone like it was already handled, sliding it across the bar top so she could see the balance shrinking towards 0. Dad barely even looks at that account anymore. He trusts me with it, and honestly, that's kind of the whole reason this works. He looked, she said, like a man who'd already gotten away with something, laughing easier than he had in weeks. Ordering a second round he definitely couldn't afford either. already talking about paying her back for gas money, like his whole world wasn't built on 3 stolen deliveries and a string of lies about backordered steel. My best friend since we were 9, an electrician named Desmond Cole, actually mentioned once in February that Mason seemed distracted whenever his phone buzzed at the shop, always stepping outside to take the call. I told Desmond kids are just glued to their phones now. He laughed and dropped it. I think about that a lot. It fell apart on the 2nd of April, and not the way I expected. I got an automated email from Binwise's payment processor, flagging our seller account for a compliance review. Their system had matched several of our recent clearance listing photos against images already posted on our own shop website, and frozen the payout until we verified ownership. I almost deleted it as spam. Then I opened the attached listing thumbnails, and one of them was Grant Ashford's bench, the exact same photo I'd taken for our catalog back when it still sat in the shop, cropped down and relabeled rustic dining bench, warehouse clearance. I checked our order records. Grant's bench showed as delivered to him weeks ago, on schedule. It wasn't. I called Grant myself that afternoon, and he confirmed it. No bench had ever shown up, and he'd assumed we were just running behind. The real bench was already gone, shipped off to a buyer in Superior, Wisconsin, who thought he'd scored a steal on a warehouse clearance site. I pulled the account activity log next. Every listing in question had gone up from our storefront login, on days Mason had closed the shop alone. I waited for him after his shift. He came in around 6, tired, hoodie up. Mason, we need to talk before you head out. Can it wait? I've got a group project. No. I turned my laptop toward him. Binwise froze our account today. Wants to know why Grant's bench is listed as clearance stock for $220. Same day I've got him down as scheduled delivery. He went quiet in a way that told me everything before he said a word. I don't know what you're talking about. It's our login, Mason. Nobody else touches that account. Maybe it got compromised. People steal login info all the time. Stop. I've built every piece in this shop with my own hands for 16 years. I know my own photos, and I know when my kid is lying straight to my face. What is this? He set his phone down on the workbench like it had gotten heavy. It's not what it looks like. Then tell me what it looks like. I owe money. Poker. Online. It got bad way faster than I thought it could, and I panicked, and I figured if I moved a few pieces quietly I could clear it before you noticed the account was off, and nobody would actually get hurt by it. Grant got hurt. He's a retired teacher who paid full price for a bench that's sitting in some stranger's dining room right now because you sold it for $220. I was going to rebuild it before he noticed. With what steel, Mason? With what money, since apparently there isn't any? He didn't have an answer for that. He stared at the concrete floor. I'm almost done paying it off. I swear I was going to tell you once it was handled. There's a word I keep hearing from you. I set the laptop down because my hands weren't steady. That afternoon in January, the fire pit weld. Was that real, or were you already into this and just feeling guilty? That was real. His voice broke on it. Dad, that had nothing to do with any of this, I swear. Then how do I square that with someone who'd sell a stranger's furniture out from under him and lie to his face about backordered steel? Because I'm not two different people. I was drowning and I didn't know how to say it out loud to you. You could have said it out loud. That door's never been locked, Mason. I know that now. You knew it then too. You just didn't want to watch my face while I heard it. Handled. I said it back to him and it tasted like flux and metal. You know what handled means to me? It means Grant's out a bench he paid full price for. It means Adrian waited 3 extra weeks for furniture that was never coming. How many pieces, Mason? All of them. 3, he said. Adrian's console table, the brewery fire pit, and Grant's bench. 3. I let that sit in the air between us. 3 separate times you looked one of our clients in the eye, or on the phone, and lied to their face about a delay that didn't exist. That's not one bad night, Mason. That's a pattern you built and kept building. I know how it sounds. I don't think you do. I don't think you've thought about anyone in this except yourself and whatever app you owed money to. That's not fair. Fair would have been telling me the truth in January instead of picking up a torch to make me feel better about you. That one landed. He flinched like I'd hit him, and for a second neither of us said anything, just the compressor ticking as it cycled down in the corner. I won't pretend I stayed calm through the rest of it. I said things about trust, about 16 years of my hands going into every piece in that shop, about how he'd sold pieces of me for poker chips he was too ashamed to admit he needed. He cried, which he hadn't done in front of me since he was maybe 12. Simone came out from the front counter at some point, heard enough of it through the door, and stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. "Both of you, stop yelling and start talking," she said, quiet but firm, the way she says things when she actually means them. "Mason, tell your father the rest of it, all of it, right now, or I will." He told me the rest of it. She didn't say anything else that night, just stood there and let it be between the two of us, present the whole time so neither of us was alone in it. The weeks after were the hard, unglamorous part. No lawyer, no police report. I decided against it, and I'm still not sure if that was mercy or just not wanting to watch my own kid get handcuffed over furniture. What there was: 3 clients I had to call myself, 3 pieces I remade at my own cost on a rushed timeline, 3 apologies that felt too small for what they were covering. Grant got a new bench in 11 days and tried to pay full price for it again. I wouldn't let him. He asked me once, gently, whether everything was all right at home, and I told him it would be, eventually, and I think we both understood that wasn't quite the same as saying it already was. Mason paid off his poker debt with the money he'd made selling my work, then spent the next several months working every extra hour to pay the shop back, closing up alone less often now, always with me or Simone somewhere nearby. Whether either of us said that was the arrangement or not, a number that came out to just under $2,200 once I actually tallied the materials, the labor, and what those pieces should have sold for. Desmond stopped by that June, ostensibly to fix a bad outlet in the shop, really to check on me. I told him everything. He didn't say he'd noticed something months ago and let it go, though we both knew he had. "You're rebuilding it the way you build everything else," he said. "Slow, with the heat turned down so it doesn't warp." I don't know if that's true, but I've held on to it. Adrian got her console table remade by May, and when I delivered it myself, she asked why I hadn't sent Mason like usual. I told her the truth, that some things I needed to carry myself for a while. She didn't push. "If something like this had ever landed in your own shop, your own kid's hands behind it, I honestly don't know what I'd tell you to do differently. There isn't a clean answer I've found yet." These days Mason's back in the shop most afternoons, and I check bin-wise myself now, every week, a habit I wish I didn't need. Last Tuesday we were closing up a steel frame for a coffee table, both of us quiet, both of us tired, and he reached over and handed me the next clamp before I'd even asked for it. The way he used to, the way he did that afternoon in January before any of this. I didn't say anything about it. I just took the clamp, and we kept working, side by side, the way we're trying to again.